Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and read this section on the solar eclipse. So we have it marked in green in our reading essentials. And if you want to scroll down and draw your line right there, that is where we will read through today, okay? So the sun shines on the moon. The moon casts a shadow that extends into space. Sometimes the moon passes between Earth and the sun. This can only happen during a new moon phase. So sometimes the moon passes between the Earth and the sun. This is a new moon phase. When Earth, the moon, and the sun are lined up, the moon casts a shadow on Earth's surface. Let's go ahead and highlight that. All right, so I see vocab words. I'm going to switch to yellow. When the moon's shadow appears on Earth's surface, a solar eclipse is occurring. So we have a total solar eclipse and a partial solar eclipse. So let's look at the total solar eclipse first. The position of Earth, the moon, and the sun during a solar eclipse are shown above. So what we've got here, I'm going to switch this to yellow. So we have the Earth and the moon, and the Earth is going, or the moon is going in its orbit around the Earth, right? And so we have the sun right here. Big sun right here. And so when the sun is going to cast shine on the moon and cast a shadow, and it just happens to be that that shadow is going to fall on the Earth. Okay, so we'll come back to this drawing in a moment. The position of Earth, the moon, and the sun during a solar eclipse are shown above. Look at the shadow that the moon casts on Earth. Notice that the umbra, the darkest inner part, is much narrower than the penumbra, the lighter outer part. Okay, so what we're looking at right here, see, this is our umbra right here. The darker inner, and then this is the penumbra. Okay, so look how teeny weeny little bit here on Earth is actually in the umbra of that eclipse. Okay, so that's going to be important here. The type of eclipse you see depends on whether you are in the path of the umbra or the penumbra. If you are outside the umbra and penumbra, you can't see the eclipse at all. All right, so this drawing has shown that this area of the Earth is getting the eclipse. Now, these guys up here, no eclipse at all. No eclipse at all. Okay, so you've got to be right smack dab in the middle of that shadow to be experiencing an eclipse. So you can see the total solar eclipse only if you are within the moon's umbra. During a total solar eclipse, the moon appears to completely cover the sky, cover the sun. The sky becomes dark and you see the stars. A total solar eclipse lasts no longer than about 7 minutes. So, this is a section on our study guide that you can be filling in some of the words on the solar eclipse from this section here, okay? So then we have a partial solar eclipse. So if you are in the moon's penumbra, you see a partial solar eclipse. The moon never completely covers the sun during a partial solar eclipse. So a few years ago, in our area, we had an eclipse, and we had a partial solar eclipse. We were in the penumbra. Why don't we see solar eclipses occur every month? Solar eclipses occur only during the new moon phase of the lunar cycle. Let's go ahead and change color. But we have a new moon every single month, so why aren't we having a solar eclipse every time? During a new moon, the Earth and the sun are on opposite sides of the moon. However, solar eclipses do not occur at every new moon phase. the moon's orbit is slightly tilted compared to Earth's orbit. During most new moons, Earth is above or below moon's shadow. Only when the moon is in line between the sun and the Earth do solar eclipses take place. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this picture. And so only the people within the umbra are going to see a total. About 7 minutes, gets dark. So the people within the penumbra, so you can see that's a much larger area, they are going to get a partial. Okay, so this is a new moon phase. Okay, where when we look up at the moon, we would not see anything because the side that is getting the light is that side. Okay, let's go ahead and do our notebook. All right, so the solar eclipse. We are going to come down to right here. Lunar eclipse is next time, okay, guys? All right, so definition: occurs when the moon's shadow passes over Earth's surface. The moon phase would be a new moon. The moon appears to completely cover the sun with a total eclipse, and the sun appears partially covered by the moon with a partial eclipse. So what we have going on here, we have the position would be the sun and the moon and the earth. And the moon casts a shadow on earth. Okay, it's got to be lined up perfectly. Okay, so go ahead and stop this video. Make sure you get this all filled in. All right, so with this right here, most of these, label the diagram of a solar eclipse, use these terms. So most of these are already labeled for us. Okay, we've got the sun here, and the sun's rays are going this direction. So we have a moon, we have our earth, we have the penumbra, which is the lighter part of the shadow, and the umbra, which is the darker part of the shadow. So what we are able to label that's not already labeled for us, with the umbra, this would be our total solar eclipse. And within the penumbra, that is going to be our partial solar eclipse. Okay, so with an eclipse, what you want to think about, because we have a solar eclipse and then we have a lunar eclipse. So when we think, well, which one's which, we need to remember that an eclipse means to cover. So if we are talking about a solar eclipse, then that is the sun that's appears to be covered. When we talk about a lunar eclipse next time, it's going to be the moon that is covered, okay? All right, so explain why solar eclipses do not occur every month. The moon's orbit is slightly tilted compared to that of Earth. For this reason, during most new moon phases, Earth is either above or below moon's shadow. It's not on the same plane, okay? So it's either up or below, but not on the same plane, okay? Alrighty, so make sure you get all of your notes for solar eclipse, and I